Hey man, welcome to the channel today. I'm about to check out this video. It says Peter Griffin versus Goku is much closer than you think or believe. This is funny to me because obviously I would know which route they're gonna take. They're gonna take the Toon Force route, but I'm just thing is, if you said Stewie, I guess I can see what you mean, kind of technically because of all these gadgets and stuff. But Peter, I don't. I watched Family Guy back then. I didn't watch no, I did watch it. And like not anything recent episode wise. So like maybe I don't know pre-COVID like that era. That's when I was watching it. It was mostly like the whole. I don't know what foods he could have. I'm sure you're gonna. I don't know. Bugs was. I don't know. But that they're gonna scale him to Homer and then Homer scale to what Bill Cipher and then Cipher Peter like throughout all the entrances. Is that what they're? I don't know, man. Probably, but we don't know. But with that said, let us hop into it, and it's definitely gonna be cutaways. Like, remember that one time I owed God money, and it's just gonna be some cutaway, like, it's just crazy to me. But hey, man, with that said, let us see how and why this battle is closer than. And I wanted to take a break from M because I didn't want to be felt oversaturated with Alfred, and yeah.
The power of a Saiyan versus the power of a Rhode Islander. Can Peter Griffin beat Goku? As we'll come to see, Peter is surprisingly strong. For this video, only feats that Peter has actually shown will be used here. He's a cartoon character,
What about cutaway? What about cutaway? I mean, he's probably gonna add it.
so theoretically, he could just do whatever's funny.
Yeah.
But we're gonna only use things that he's been shown to do. So for this video, we're going to treat him like any other character. The feats he's actually shown will be the feats we actually base his power on. So even though he does have Toon Force to an extent, if he hasn't actually done something, we won't use it. With one exception, you'll see later what I mean. Keep that in mind because it's very important. This is the crux of the entire video's scaling.
Oh
And this includes any
God,
feat.
they really went through the whole father-son shtick. I damn. Composite Peter.
This will be a composite Peter, so any feat from any episode of the show or otherwise is on the table. Even if it's for a cutaway gag, we'll be using it. Equipment will be included too. I'll also do a lowball and a highball estimate. The one thing we won't use for his composite is
I'm Team Goku, so just in case, I'm Team Goku.
Fortnite, because that's one place where Goku and Peter can actually interact, but every item shop character skin is pretty much equal there, outside of a few lore exceptions. And if we use the Peter Overworld boss, he technically has more health than Goku, and that's the one thing we won't include in this discussion. First, we'll look at how strong composite Peter is, and what he's capable of. Then, we'll find a comparable Goku for him to fight. Is it just an earlier Goku, like from the 23rd World Tournament? Or would it be current Goku? Or Xeno Goku even? Let's find out. In short, there are two guidelines. 1. We're only using feats Peter has actually shown and treating them as real feats. 2. It's a composite Peter, combining everything as if he were one. Or at least, almost everything. Family Guy is comprehensive in terms of the things that Peter's done. You might wonder why I'm making this video in the first place, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of the show. Even the more recent seasons that people don't like, I get some enjoyment out of them. I'm not as big of a fan as I am with American Dad, for example, but enough where I feel like I could do a good job of showcasing the lore of Family Guy and the abilities Peter's displayed. And saying that out loud, it does sound completely ridiculous, but trust me, I have a weirdly in-depth knowledge about the McFarlane-verse.
Okay.
If I do forget something here, let me know below, but I hope I'm not missing anything since that won't make me look like a true Family Guy scholar. Although, with the 22nd season just finishing, there are a lot of short cutaway gags and stuff to remember, so I'm sure I'll forget something on accident. Let's begin with destructive feats. To begin, Peter scales beyond every other Griffin in terms of power, and I know that sounds pretty insane to say. Like, it's a pretty weird baseline to use, but it's actually pretty important because they have their own feats that could upscale Peter. The one thing he doesn't share is intelligence. He's actually one of the dumber members of the family, but it would be pretty valuable if he had Stewie's level of intellect, for example. In terms of physical feats, though, yeah, he scales above the rest of them. First, we'll look at Lois. She actually defeated 3 Kryptonians. You can hear I'm trying not to laugh here because I'm doing this like a normal power scaling video, but it's hard to say all this with a straight face.
Yeah, I remember this being brought up in a not even a while, maybe like a year ago. Ah, gosh, man. So like, but this is like, these are Kryptonians, they're not Superman. The same way that Goku's a Saiyan, wait, like with Planet, but all those are just Saiyans. They're not Goku. They be the same race or of the same race, but they do not hold the same power. Right. So, okay.
So if it sounds like I'm on the verge of laughter, that's why. Anyways, Lois defeated 3 Kryptonians on her own. These clearly are the characters from Superman 2. You can see Zod right here. This looks exactly like him. She defeats them with ease, and Peter scales above her. The powers in the show are relatively inconsistent, like there are points when Lois becomes freakishly strong, or like points when Meg beats up Peter, but for the most part, Peter's the strongest in the family. Again, we're using a composite version, and anything is on the table here. So even if he's weaker than Lois in one episode, we could use her feats from this episode to upscale Peter in another episode where he's above her, just as a quick example of what I mean. But on the higher end, you could put Lois up to planetary here, because this version of Superman actually pushed the moon. And the speed at which he pushed it required enough force to actually destroy a planet, if not more. It sounds weird that saying moving the moon means he's planet level, but you have to think about it in terms of the force used here. And to be completely honest, it's been a while since I saw that movie, and frankly, I don't want to go back and scale that entire movie just to see how strong Lois is in this scene.
Okay.
That isn't the most impressive feat here, and feel free to correct that if you want, it's still worth noting. I might be wrong, I'm basing it off my memory, because you'd have to accurately scale Zod first. And that's the biggest attack power feat that came to mind. The better feats come with durability. So if we want to scale Peter's attack power even higher, first we need to scale his durability. So he survived a lot of crazy things, like surviving a space shuttle falling from space into Earth, or in his fight with Homer, the two of them getting irradiated and then creating a nuclear explosion.
I was about to bring up, I wanted it, yeah, that. But I'm still waiting for that one episode where Stewie create that feat where, but then it's not Stewie, y'all know, but that's all that would also count as weapon. That device he used to like recreate the Big Bang.
But there's one really great feat that he has. Season 14, Episode 11, The Peanut Butter Kid. At the beginning of the episode, one of the subplots involves Peter using a metal detector. At one point, he puts two metal detectors together, and he ends up here. He either teleported outside of the universe, or he destroyed the universe. It's not explicitly stated that he destroyed it. Again, he could have just teleported over there. Real Family Guyers know that this is exactly how the outer limits of the universe are represented in Family Guy.
Yeah.
In another episode,
Yep, here's the one. Yep, perfect. Thank you. The one that's just
Brian and Stewie travel outside of time.
Oh, it was outside of time.
And Stewie says here there is no time or universe. They end up returning by essentially creating the Big Bang. And the rest of this episode confirms this. Stewie created the entire universe. By the way, Family Guy's reality encompasses multiple universes, as well as timelines. Stewie has established this before, so it is complex with infinite universes and infinite timelines. Again, we are trying to upscale Peter here too. So when Stewie recreates the universe, we could either assume that it was just his universe he created, or literally everything. When Peter gets to this same location, if he actually did destroy the universe, well, obviously that's a huge feat, because if we highball Peter and assume he destroyed literally everything, that is infinite universes and infinite timelines. However, even if you want to argue he only teleported here, he still scales to this point because Brian and Stewie survived the Big Bang. Stewie's return pad generated enough energy to create the entire universe, and they were standing on it. So upscaling them and then upscaling Peter, that means Peter gets to this point too. So either Stewie or Brian upscale him, or we...
That's just... I mean, I do have... Crazy thing is, I do have Peter and Stewie on the wheel. We did have a Stewie match at John Wick, but that was base Stewie, not full power Stewie. That's crazy.
Just assume he actually did blow up everything here with the metal detectors. So assuming Peter or Brian and Stewie actually took that amount of force here, that would give them universal durability at minimum. And that's only assuming they created the Big Bang for one universe. If Peter actually destroyed everything, or rather, Brian and Stewie created everything, that's the amount of force needed to create infinite complex universes and infinite timelines between them. Especially with the latter feat of Peter destroying everything, he'd actually be destroying all that at once and surviving it. So if you really want to wank him, he's high complex multiversal. But you can go even farther than that. Peter has been shown to transcend to the 6th dimension in one scene. So this is consistent. At one point he even transcended fiction itself, coming into the real world. He was on drugs, but still, he transcended fiction. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to drop a like. Trust me, this video is way crazier than the ones I normally do.
He transcended fiction. Yeah. Oh! I already see it, man. So what? Let me guess. He's gonna be on some We Need Zeno Goku. That's crazy.
They're usually a lot more grounded than this one. So with all of that, Peter could range anywhere from 5D to 7D. But given that one scene where Peter said he went to the 6th dimension, it's pretty safe to put him there if we don't want to put him any higher. Plus, he's also survived in the vacuum of space, so by default, that's something he has over Goku, at least the canon version of him. But that gives him extreme cold resistance as well. And on top of his fight with Homer, it's another radiation resistance feat. Plus, he has self-sustenance. He could breathe in space and survive in there. There's also Season 2, Episode 6, where Peter becomes Death for
Yeah. I wanted it. No, I didn't. I just remembered it.
a bit. In this episode, he gets all of Death's powers for a bit, which includes Peter becoming immortal and having the ability to control death for others. Death in Family Guy can kill people by just coming in contact with them. However, this wasn't a cutaway gag or anything where it's just Peter doing something on his own, because in all those other gags that I've mentioned, that is just flat out Peter's power, or someone else's power upscaling him. We won't count this one because this is specifically a scenario where someone gives their power to Peter. Otherwise, Peter would be immortal in this fight and he could kill Goku with a single touch. Now for Speed. Speed is interesting because, of course, Peter, Brian, Stewie, and Adam West can move outside of time. A lot of people assume moving in a timeless void means that you have immeasurable speed, but that's not the case. This also applies for Goku too because he did the exact same thing in Trunks' timeline, as well as the World of Void, which doesn't have time. If we give it to one of them, we give it to the other. But in my eyes, saying this counts as some high-level speed feat is inaccurate. Speed is simply distance over time, and if the time is undefined, then you can't actually calculate the speed. You have an incomplete formula. So technically, yeah, it's immeasurable, not in the sense that it's absurdly high, but in the sense that there is literally no formula to calculate it. You have one of the fundamental components of it missing. And just to further showcase why it doesn't really work, in the Tournament of Power, there are many people in the World of Void able to move around. So, by the logic that moving in a timeless void means your immeasurable speed, that would mean weaker characters like Roshi, Tien, Krillin, Shin, and Elder Kai are also immeasurable speed. That wouldn't just apply to Goku, that would apply to literally everyone in the Tournament of Power. So, we won't be using that here for Peter or for Goku. We want something more concrete. So let's look at Meg. She's been shown to be as fast as Days of Future Past Quicksilver. And on many, many occasions, Peter has been shown to be above her, and even catch her off guard and do things like shove her face into his ass and fart. Again, just like with the Superman feat I mentioned, this is also going back to a completely separate franchise, so I won't guarantee that I'm going to be perfectly accurate with this scaling. But based on that one scene of Quicksilver saving everyone from the mansion, he could be anywhere from massively hypersonic to a fraction of light speed. So for a low ball of speed, Meg would be massively hypersonic, and at a high ball, she's sub-relativistic at around 1% the speed of light. Peter is faster than her reactions, so wherever she is, doubling that seems fair.
Meg is devious. Yikes. I did catch what he was talking about. I was more intrigued, like, what is Meg planning with all this extra shit?
Combat speed exceed hers. So what about some other abilities Peter has? He could stop time, and he could also rewind time. I'm not talking about cutaways either. This is something he's actually done on multiple occasions, at least for the former. But as for cutaways themselves, this is an interesting one because he can't actually warp reality with cutaways. Remember at the beginning of the video I said we wouldn't just say he could use Toon Force nonsense? Well, this isn't hypothetical nonsense. There's a whole episode explaining how cutaways work and how they manipulate everything that happens in Peter's life. Season 19, Episode 4, Cutaway Land. It involves Lois and Peter accidentally trapping themselves in a cutaway and trying to get out. Multiple times in the show, characters have been shown to be aware of the cutaways and how to control them. But this sets up the mechanics behind them and further establishes how they could use it willingly. So, it'll be included here as a feat. This is crucial to the entire show, and in some episodes, Peter is aware of the fact that he can't do this, as are other characters. So, in the low ball, we'll say that Peter can't do this consciously. In the high ball, we'll say he can. So, whenever he wants, he could just create a cutaway, which changes the entire context of any scene he's in. If we just use a no-limits fallacy and say he could do anything because he has Toon Force,
giving him plot manipulation, story manipulation. Oh, also kind of law manipulation. I always feel so defeated when it comes to these. It's an interesting, fun concept. Don't get me wrong, it is, but it just makes me realize, like, you try really hard, you can pull a lot of shit. And whoa, but mind you, when I say that, I'm not saying that as an insult. I mean, it's just like if you try hard enough, anybody can. Like, if you try hard enough, you can be whatever you want. It's like that little inspirational shit. It's a little like that, like more like that when Naruto fans like find a way to get the verse or Naruto himself verse. So I can see the argument. I'm like, yeah, try hard enough, you can be wherever do whatever. That's just an interesting take, is all.
that goes against the rules I set up at the beginning of the video. But using this is perfectly fine. It's one of Peter's fundamental abilities. It would be bad if we didn't include it. This is just like the time I subscribed to the salad bar. You should too. And hit the bell while you're at it. Peter can also summon otherworldly shadow people. They seem to do whatever he wants, and they drag Joe away, but maybe they could even attack people? Who knows? Peter has crazy regeneration too, as he survived many fatal injuries and he's essentially immortal. He can clone himself too, including making evil clones. Here's some art of Retep Black that I made. In case you don't know, Retep is an evil clone of Peter that regenerated from one of his dismembered hands. Peter could also teleport himself and others, usually through cutaways. Plus, Peter's also had the ability of other characters too. There was one cutaway where he acted as Deadpool, so he'd have
What
all
did
of
he call him?
Deadpool.
He called himself like what? Red Stool. That was he had what? He had what? Anal cancer. He had something that caused anal blood leak.
Peter could also teleport himself and others, usually through cutaways. Plus, Peter's also had the ability of other characters too. There was one cutaway where he acted as Deadpool, so he'd have all of Deadpool's abilities. He also was Superman at one point, the Super Friends version, once more putting him at planetary level. Plus, he would have all the abilities of this Superman. And this also upscales Peter even further because this Superman can move way faster than the speed of light. Maybe him being planetary level is not that impressive, but if Peter actually has all the powers of this Superman, he has the speed of this Superman too, which is insane. This is way above where we placed him with Meg's speed. This Superman can fly through solar systems within seconds. He's traveled to faraway planets as well. And to make things even crazier, he's flown through time. So before when I was saying moving in a timeless void isn't immeasurable speed, well, that was just for that one. This feat could actually be considered that, so we could upscale Peter even further. Massively faster than light, if not immeasurable. But now to his worst stats, his intelligence. Peter's not smart. He's legally considered mentally handicapped. Call Goku dumb all you want, but he's not consistently unintelligent to this extent. He's also a combat genius, so there's that. Now to actually compare the two of them, we'll start with a really lowball Peter, assuming he's planetary and massively hypersonic. In this case, he's basically outsped by Goku.
Alright, now let's see the max, the kappa, eyeball. I'm guessing he's gonna say something. Okay, not guessing. He already said, but I feel like he said complex multiversal before. I feel like it's a hyperverse. Alright, man. Whatever you say, Crody.
Around the 22nd World Tournament, but Goku wouldn't have the power to kill him until around the Saiyan Saga. So using a canon Goku, a good matchup would be Vegeta Saga Goku versus Peter. That Goku would far outspeed Peter. Now a more mid-ball estimate, assuming he's universal and he's relativistic. He gets outsped by Goku really early on still, but at the same time, canon Goku can't do shit to him until later on. Again, using canon Goku, this would mean he'd make it up to around Battle of Gods Goku. I specify canon Goku because Toei Goku with all the anime filler, he's way different and way stronger. When Goku becomes a Super Saiyan God, he has a huge jump in power, which would place him way beyond this mid-ball Peter. The same applies to GT Goku. So Buu Saga Goku would outspeed him, but he'd overpower that Goku. And if we go beyond the Meg feat and use the fact that he had Superman's speed, that would mean Peter can't actually keep up here, when we say he's massively faster than light. But still at only universal level, after the Buu Saga he has trouble, just based on his pure physical stats alone. But now the real question.
Okay. So for Boo, okay. Okay. I.
What about a highball Peter? What is his absolute limit? Which Goku can he fight? Well, with a really highball Peter, he has immeasurable speed, with power anywhere from multiverse level to low complex multiverse level, depending on how you want to define Family Guy's multiverse. So, using the highball, let's go with the higher estimate, which is reasonable considering the fact Peter transcends the 6D, and even 7D at one point. This version of Peter would absolutely dogwalk canon Goku. It's not that canon Goku's weak, Peter is just at a higher dimensionality and is just that strong, utilizing this highball at least. Plus, he can make use of a multitude of other powers, such as cutaway gags or stopping time to help himself. However, if we start to put him up against people like Xeno Goku or Capsule Corp Goku, Peter's gonna have an issue because, yeah, they are actually that strong. Those two Gokus would give Peter a really interesting fight, especially with the multitude of abilities he has. And against Highball Peter, their intelligence would definitely be a deciding factor here, and depending on how far you want to push the two of them, they probably even could outpace Peter in terms of power and speed. Although if he transcends fiction, then Peter just wins there by doing that. Let me know what you think below. Again, I know this is not really a grounded video, and we're purposefully highballing Peter, because like my other videos, I tend to highball whoever I'm focusing on, just to see what they're truly capable of. Discuss in the comments below, but keep it civil though, I know how power scaling gets. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.
Hey, yo, Celebrate, you had a really great, phenomenal. This was very eye-opening, educational. I guess I can see where Peter will be when I do. Now, like the whole Boom, boom. Yeah, that whole who was stronger. I guess I could. I guess me personally, I could give him. Like I do have a wheel, like where it's like I say peak rank, like I do have those. Uh, you wondered why like Stewie would lose to what Stewie would lose to John Wick. It's because I would there's a wheel I have where it would be like lowest, peak, mid, base, like it's just all of that. That's why they're different very sometimes when I the wheel lands on Batman, Superman. So all of a sudden you'll see it's not comic Superman live action or Lucifer. You'll be like, why didn't you use comic Lucifer? Because the wheel, the other second wheel, landed on TV show, not comics and not. So, yeah, I guess for Peter, I would give him multiversal to massively faster than. I feel like I say I'm joking, but I like that's what be. But that's just me though. So, yeah, man, with that said, if you enjoyed the vid, let me know what I know you're gonna be like, but he just explained in the video. And I'm like, yes, that's what he explained. He said if we wank him, we get him to these levels consistently, or he'd be okay with putting him at universal. I just say, well, give him a multiverse, call it a thing. And it is what it is. If you enjoyed the vid, let me do so, but for now, see y'all. See y'all.